Hi, my name is Richard Cooper. I'm the founder and CEO of Total Debt Freedom, and congratulations, you may actually qualify for our debt negotiation program. There's three main advantages to our program over the other ones out there. Number one, you will graduate with a better credit score than the day you started the program. So what that means is if you have a very low credit score right now, which you likely do, in 3 to 4 years when you graduate the program, your credit score will improve significantly. Most of our customers see it go up at least 100 points. Number two, you're going to improve your monthly cash flow. What that means is if money is tight right now and you switch from what you're doing to this program, you'll probably see an improvement in your cash flow around 18 to 20%. And number three, last but not least, our customers save anywhere from 40 to 60 cents on the dollar on average. What that means is for every dollar you owe, you're going to pay back around half of what you currently owe right now. Now let's talk about debt consolidation, because that's the first thing most Canadians go looking for when they try to get out of debt. We've been preconditioned by society, by credit card companies, by the indoctrination systems out there that tell us when you have debt, the only way to get out of debt to avoid bankruptcy is to borrow more money to get out of the debt that you couldn't afford to pay. Now that doesn't make sense to me. It never did. If you can't afford to pay what you already owe right now, who's going to lend you more money to pay off what you can't afford to pay? Most people know that either the bank has already turned them down for a consolidation loan or they have a feeling that they're going to get turned down, which is why they're looking for potential solutions. Debt consolidation loans, when you're carrying credit card debt, they simply don't work. You can't trade off 19% interest for a regular credit card or even 28.8% interest for a retail store card for a 35% or 40% high interest consolidation loan. You've probably seen on your statements now, by this time, it shows you exactly how long it'll take you to get out of debt should you follow the program they've got you on. I call that the Never Ever program. Some other people around my office call it the merry-go-round of debt. And what that looks like is you're on this 30-day cycle, you go around the merry-go-round, you throw off some money to try to appease the credit card companies and pay down the interest. And what you find is by about 6, 12, 24 months later, you've been watching it and you start to notice nothing's changing. Your balance doesn't go down. So how does this work? Well, what we do is we get you out of debt with your own money. There's no new loans, there's no credit card checks, you don't have to be a homeowner to qualify. You're actually getting out of debt on a budget that you can afford. So whatever your cash flow is right now, we build it around that budget to get you out of debt with money that you already have. What we do is we negotiate with your credit card companies. Beside me here, I've got a stack of settlement letters. This is just from the last couple of months. Let me give you a few examples here. I'll pull out the last three, for example. Let's see what we got here. So in this one here, and I'll show these to you, we've got a gentleman that saved $35,000. They owed $53,000 and paid $18,100. Okay, now the amount of that settlement was about 33%. So they paid 33 cents on the dollar. I've got another one here where this person owed $11,316 and they paid $3,000. That's a 26.5% settlement and they saved $8,316. Last one, and then we'll carry on. Owed $17,780. They paid $5,000, which was a 28% settlement. Ladies and gentlemen, these letters happen on a regular basis. We have them on our social media posts. If you look at us on Facebook or Instagram, you'll find them there. You can follow us at Total Debt Freedom. So what we do, guys, is we use our expertise to negotiate against the balances that you owe. The credit card companies would prefer that you didn't go bankrupt, and I'll talk about bankruptcy and what trustees offer in a moment. But they prefer to get you in a cycle where you're basically on a merry-go-round of debt. You're spinning your wheels, throwing all of your payments towards interest, and you're in debt for the next 30, 40, 50, sometimes even close to 80 years of your life. If you'll notice on some of your credit card statements, the government forced credit card companies a few years ago to make a disclaimer which tells you how long it'll take you to get out of debt if you just keep making the minimum monthly payments. This doesn't work for most people. It is a path to financial ruin. This process is called debt negotiation. We've been doing this since 2003, close to 20 years now. We've settled thousands of Canadians' credit card debts, close to $100 million worth of this stuff. We're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and an accredited business. We've been doing this for a long time and it works. Listen, I mentioned earlier that I'm the founder and CEO of the company. My origin story came from the credit and collections world. I spent a long time in there watching how credit card companies treated people when they were trying to get out of debt, and it's often very hard. Many of the available options would tie into things like bankruptcy or debt management or counseling plans, which I'll talk about in a moment, but they were highly ineffective. They didn't save people any money, and for the most part, when you were paying them, they were actually looking after the best interest of the credit card companies. What we've done here over the last 20 years almost is save Canadians a ton of money and gotten them on a fresh financial start without destroying their credit rating like a bankruptcy or a counseling program might. So let's talk about trustees, bankruptcies, and their proposal programs, because that's often something that somebody would consider. Those should be a course of last resort, meaning you've got so much debt and no assets. That's something that you'd want to consider a bankruptcy. Now, oftentimes trustees will sell this new, they call it a new program or an alternative to it, alternative to bankruptcy, which is really a formal proposal. This is all under the Bankruptcy Insolvencies Act. In fact, it's even worse for your credit and it costs you more money. I'll explain why. Trustees are compensated when it comes to proposals based on how much money goes back to the creditors. So they often get paid 20% of what they return back to the creditors in small monthly installments over 60 months. So if you have 6 creditors and you spread over 60 months these tiny installments towards the debt, they'll get paid down over time and you'll be debt free in about 5 years or so. But the end result of that is a credit rating that's in the toilet, you've gotten out of debt, and it's cost you a lot of money based on how they have to pay it back with their commission on top of it. Now, the other thing that they don't usually tell people is they're actually court-appointed agents to the creditors. So what that means is even though you're paying them to get you out of debt, they're following these government tables which are designed really to serve the best interests of the credit card companies. There's other programs as well. Some of them are called debt management plans. Some of them are called counseling programs. They may operate under a nonprofit banner, which seems, kind and friendly, but the truth of the matter is you don't even save any money. You're paying back the full balance and sometimes a reduced interest rate. The credit card companies are somewhat okay with it because it's like a kinder, friendlier collection agency, but I never recommend those programs to anybody simply because you don't save any money and it destroys your credit rating. Again, when you're making these small monthly installments back over 60 months, you're not actually paying off the debt one by one like we do over here. Again, you're getting out of debt with your own money, but in a sequential fashion, meaning if you have those 6 debts, you're going to pay them off one at a time over a number of months. And as you're paying off each debt with our approach, you're actually improving your credit score. Now, another big difference over here is my team is compensated based on how much money they save you. Trustees are compensated based on how much money they get back to the credit card companies. So there's a difference there. These folks here are motivated to save you as much money as possible based on your financial hardship. Probably sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it's not actually. It's a very, very good program. There's some cons to it. Your phone may ring. You may get some phone calls from your credit card companies. They start to make threats. They're of course going to want to encourage you to go back on their plan, which is the never-ending, cycle of debt. Let's get on the merry-go-round of debt and throw money at interest that never pays down the balance. And that's fine. Some people choose to stay on the merry-go-round. But if your equation doesn't work for you. And what I mean by that is if 1 + 1 = 2, but you want to get 3, you need to change the input to get a different output. So for you to change the output, you're going to have to get off the merry-go-round of debt and adopt a new program that plugs in, that solves that problem. And that's what we do here. We've actually created a viable solution. Again, thousands of satisfied customers that have graduated the program with a better credit score and are totally debt-free. I want you to stop lying to yourself. I remember too when I was a kid, you'd go to the amusement park and it would say you'd have to be this tall to be on the ride and you'd stand up straight and on your tippy toes try to get there. Well, that works as a kid. But when you're an adult and your statements are coming in the mail and they're showing that you're never paying down the balance because you're throwing it all at interest and you're not seeing any improvement, your credit score doesn't get any better. In fact, over time, it actually gets worse. Some people get into the cycle of thinking if I just throw that payment at them, my credit score will get better, or they want to protect their credit score. It doesn't. It actually gets worse. It does not improve your credit score. So again, to get a different output, you need to change the input. Stop lying to yourself. It's time to get off the merry-go-round. So make sure you click that Book Now link. That'll get you to the page so you can book a consultation with my senior consultant here, and he can answer any further questions you might have and get you qualified to get into the program. Do that today. Hope you guys have an amazing one. We'll see you later. Bye.